Everyone, thanks for stopping by the Time We Discuss studio. Today I'm speaking with Martha Kester, and it's time we discuss what it's like to be a board-certified health coach. Martha, thank you for joining me today.
Thank you for having me. I'm excited to be here.
I'm excited too. This is going to be a good one, I think. So, Martha, you are a board-certified health coach, and you have a pretty extensive background. I know that you were in education for a bit of time, and then you kind of transitioned into this. What's a typical day like for you as a board-certified health coach? What is a day like?
Yeah, this is what I love about my profession because the variety, no day is really the same. But my mornings always start. I spend time with God, and then I do some mental, like mind games, Wordle. I always do my own workout first thing in the morning. So I really believe in walking my talk. And then if I have clients on schedule that day, and I don't always have clients every day, but when I do, I meet with them for about an hour. I do a little bit of prep work before I meet with them, and then I summarize our session, which I will send over to them. When I'm not meeting with clients or the clients I don't meet with that day, I am checking in with them via text. And then, unfortunately, the biggest part of my job is the business marketing end because I am a business owner. And that is the part that it's been challenging. It's been a learning curve. I'm still learning. So most of my time is really on that. It's marketing, it's figuring out, who I can connect with as far as referral partners go. I'm really big into doing workshops. I think as a former school teacher, I love being out in front of people. And so I'm always planning workshops. I am also a yoga instructor. So some of my day is actually teaching yoga. And then on Thursday mornings, I volunteer as a health coach in our free medical clinic. So I'm doing some volunteer work as well. So which I really love, I
That's
think.
that's awesome. That's really, really cool. You have a lot of components there. And when I was looking up your information prior to us communicating, I was on your website, and it sounds like, as a board certified health coach, it sounds like it's very all encompassing. It sounds like, it's spiritual, it's mental, it's physical. I wouldn't be surprised if there's a dietary component, along with the exercise. Am I summarizing that correctly? Do you look at it kind of like holistically the person?
Yes, for sure. All those parts all work together to help us to live our healthiest life. So it all impacts us, whether it's positively or negatively. So yeah, for sure.
Now, when people approach someone like you, how does that interaction typically begin? So when I'm thinking of someone that, they might go to see a mental health care professional, for instance, they might be dealing with, anxiety or, a level of stress or something like that. When people typically come to you, what does that typically look like?
You hit upon the mental health and counselors, and I think everyone knows what counselors do. But when they hear or come to me and they find out I'm a health coach, I always get sort of a look like, what? So sometimes people come to me thinking I'm a personal trainer, or sometimes people come to me thinking that I'm going to hand them a food plan. So that's why I do workshops to get out there and really educate, because I think it's the education piece that is missing because health coach isn't a term that people know like counseling. I often people come to me because they've been in my yoga class, so they, they understand what I'm doing, they know me, and so they will approach me that way. Or sometimes I'll get people via, Facebook, where I'm on Facebook a lot, or through my email, and I'll get people, requesting like a consult or something like that. Does that make sense? Is that answering? Okay.
Yeah, that makes complete sense. I could definitely see that where the confusion could be on the part of the person approaching you. I can understand that. Um, do Is there another term that people use that goes along with health coach? Are there other, because you have like life coaches, you have performance coaches. Are there any other terms that go with health coach that people could be looking for?
Sometimes you'll see lifestyle, um, sort of lifestyle coach. But I am board certified and we have like our seal. So we really like to use the board certification or board certified health coach as kind of our title. But yeah, I don't know. You've got me there.
No, that's okay. That's okay.
I think, yeah, health coach, I think it's kind of what I see a lot of. So
Okay. I was speaking with a woman a couple weeks ago, and she was a shoot. Was it a performance coach? I think she was a performance coach. And I asked her, what's the difference between that and a life coach? And she said they're basically
Yeah.
the same thing, but she doesn't prefer the term life coach. And I was like, oh, okay. And I wasn't sure if there was something like that for a health coach or not. That's why I thought I'd ask.
Yeah, no, and life coach, I think we get confused with life coaches. And I would say there is a difference between us as well. A life coach, I feel like, does more with possibly with career and things like that. And I'm more focused on the health aspect, like diet and sleep and stress and exercise.
Okay.
But
So
yeah.
just so we can get a clear picture of what you do exactly, can you give me a real example of someone that you're working with?
Our first session is really what is your goal? What is and that person will voice their goal to me. And so this person I'm thinking off the top of my head wants to they had some health issues that they want to kind of control, and they wanted to do it through diet. And so um this person was talking and in our session, so about an hour, and I usually do most of my work through Zoom, so I can see people from all over. But and and I think this might have been our first or second session. I could hear her talking, and this is a benefit of a health coach because we kind of sit back and listen, and we can act as a sounding board and really pick out what you're exactly saying. And sometimes we say things that conflict. Here's my goal. I want to eat in a way that brings in more protein. On the other hand, she was talking to me and saying, like, I really want some quick protein snacks because my morning is so busy. But her goal was to get more routine and to, eat more balanced, to eat healthy. And so I was hearing this conflict. And so I brought that up to her. And that's kind of a benefit of health coaching. And she was like, wow, I never really, when I hear you say that, it's like, duh. So she's now focusing on the way she's eating and rearranging her busy schedule because she's retired. I mainly work with retirees. And she's like kind of moving her schedule around in a way that she's able to be at home and sit down and eat this high protein like breakfast to start her day off right. So that is kind of a typical session for me and a client. And it's not like I'm handing them a plan, but I am listening to their needs and their wants, and together kind of more designing a way for them to eat.
When you're working with someone to create this plan, for lack of better words, does it span over a specific period of time? Usually, is it like, let's try to do this over the next month, the next 3 months, what does that typically look
Yeah,
like?
I have a 3 month program and then a 6 month program. So, and there's really no difference except for clearly we can go a little deeper in the 6 month because we have more time with each other.
Typically, when that period of time is over, do the people then try to focus on a different attribute of their life? Or do they say, see ya, maybe I'll be back next year? What does that typically look like when that time frame typically ends?
Yeah, I have a question on my sort of closeout questionnaire survey thing, and it talks about, what future goals do I have, or what goals do I have now? What do I want to work on in the future? And so that last session, I love to sit down and talk to my clients about like, okay, I'm not going to be here with you. So how do you foresee these goals going? What is your plan? And we always talk about the things that are going to hinder us and get in the way. So, coming into that, having a plan for those challenges usually helps to be more successful. But I do have an ongoing kind of check-in option that clients can continue to work with me because let's face it, after 6 months, I mean, this is a lifestyle, there are changes. And so, sometimes it does take a little longer than 6 months. But, and I do have some clients that have stuck with me, and actually I meet with them. It's been several years now that we meet on a monthly basis. So.
That's awesome. I can kind of see that almost as being like a monthly check-in, like a tune-up
Yeah,
almost, make sure everything
yeah,
is
yeah,
still
yeah.
going to plan, and that's awesome. Okay. Going back to the certification, what does that typically look like? Are you going through that for like a year, 2 years, 6 months? What does that typically look
Yeah.
like?
This is 2016. And health coaching is a pretty fairly new profession. I just remember being on Facebook and I saw this program pop up, and I was thinking about leaving school. And so I needed a plan B, clearly. and it's IIN, it's Institute of Integrative Nutrition, and it's kind of one of the older certificate programs, the original. And that's really all, like, I came across my media, my social, I mean, my Facebook page, and I was like, oh, okay, that could be it. And I looked through it, and I signed up because it was a year. So yeah, a year long. And it was doable financially and time and things like that. Today, if someone were going to become a coach, I mean, Duke has a program, Mayo has a program, more and more universities are offering it on the college level and even master degrees. So it's really growing, which is super exciting.
Interesting. So if someone wants to do this, so you're an entrepreneur, is that the only path, or are corporations employing people that are health coaches as they are? Okay.
Mhm. Yeah, it really just depends. Yeah, you can run your own business. More and more doctors' offices are hiring coaches as a care team model. Yeah, and even corporations definitely are hiring. I'm in a very small town with not too many of any of that. So I am solopreneur, but yeah, but I mean, even like Fitbit and Noom and Weight Watchers, they all employ health coaches.
Because of the nature of what you do, and you talked about, people working in the doctor's office, sometimes they'll have health coaches there as well. For you, I guess you specifically, or people that are entrepreneurs, do you have to worry about health insurance for like your clients, for lack of better words? Like, do you accept health insurance? What does that look like?
Yeah, good question. We have a code, the National Board Certification Group or entity has been working really hard. And so we have a code, which is exciting, but it has yet to, the insurance world does not accept it yet. Like they don't, we can't use it, unfortunately. And it's going to be a game changer when we can. I believe an HSA card, can be used for health coaching, but not insurance yet, unfortunately.
Okay, okay, that's interesting.
But
Really
it's
good to
coming.
know.
It's coming.
Now, so talking more about the certification, you said that you can get a master's degree in it. Do they also have, you may have said this, so I apologize if this is redundant. Can you also just get like a certificate from like a certain, another institution that not necessarily being accredited for your university or something like that? Or do you have to go to higher ed? What does that look like?
Yeah, no, I mean, I have my coaching certificate from IIN, and but I decided to become board certified in 2020, just because of the credential. Like it's just a seal that sets us apart from these thousands and thousands of people out there that say that they're coaches. And so I went to IIN because really I feel like that was the only choice at the time, but it was a really good school. But the board certification people deemed that those that went to IIN had to take an additional course for some reason. So I had to go through another 6-week course to sit for the boards, but it was actually a great course. I learned a lot. And after taking the boards, we do have to do CEs every 3 years. So we are constantly learning. So that learning really doesn't stop, which I absolutely love. But like I said, the opportunities for different avenues of getting here are just growing. So that's my experience. But I know if you do want to go university route, you want to get that higher degree, that's an option. But I think as long as it all leads to getting board certified, that's what people are really looking at right now.
Okay, okay, that's good to know. And I was actually going to ask you about the continuing education, so I'm glad that you brought
Yeah.
up the CEs as well. That's good.
Yeah, which is a part of my daily routine because I'm working on my CEs right now. So, which I totally forgot to mention.
When going for the different education routes, I'm assuming a lot of the stuff can also be done online or in person. It doesn't really matter at this
Yes.
point.
My program was online, and I know there's a lot out there that is online. There's some hybrid, and then of course, there's some in person too.
Now, this one question I'd like to ask. Um, I want you to finish this sentence for me. If a person doesn't like blank, this job is not for them.
If a person doesn't like to listen, this job is not for them.
Okay.
Yeah.
I kind of thought you were going to say that, because when you were
Oh,
talking about
really?
earlier about good listening, I thought to myself, probably someone who's a good listener, this probably isn't for them. And you just totally confirmed
Yeah,
that.
that's so funny.
So going back, you have your experience as an educator. Okay.
Mhm.
How well do you think that prepared you for this
Mhm.
career? Do you think that was a huge asset having that experience or not so much?
Yeah, and it's so funny that you ask that because I sit there while I'm coaching all the time thinking like, wow, I'm really using my teaching skills. Because as I was teaching, I taught for 8 years. My passion for health and wellness was just kind of slowly growing. And I taught yoga while I was teaching school, and I helped the ladies in the front office do weights and do yoga and things like that. So, but I never thought the two worlds could ever come together in another profession, and that's definitely coaching. So, as a health coach, our job isn't to we're not doctors, so we don't have to know the ins and outs of the human body. And we're not dietitians, so I don't have to know my macros, and I'm certainly not going to, like I said, hand a plan to you that says this is what you need to eat every day. Um, but what health coaches really are behavior change specialists. So we did a lot. It's a lot of counseling. It's a lot of psychology. And that's what teaching school is. Like, I mean, teaching school is listening skills. It's asking the kids deep questions so they can really think about the things. It's asking them, like, well, how did you arrive at that? What do you think? What are your thoughts? And it's the same thing with coaching because, again, we're pulling at that intrinsic motivation in the kids, but also in our clients as well, our patients, to get them to kind of move forward. It's both segments are goal oriented. The kids have goals. The clients have goals. Yeah, I could probably think of a lot more, but I think it's just the really good questioning skills and then the listening skills, are the sort of the two tops.
Okay.
But also just the fact that I stood in front of people for 8 years teaching, it helps me doing workshops. I love getting out in front of people. And I think the workshop part is huge, to what I'm doing right now as a coach. Is just getting out there and getting the word out and explaining what coaching is and you
So
know.
let's linger on the workshops for a second. How often do you do those, and do you have to set those up yourself, or do you get kind of assistance from the group that you're certified through? What does that look like?
Yeah, no, it's all me. I mean, I'm doing it myself. I'm since last February, I had a friend reach out to me last February to come and talk to a group that she's a part of. And I had so much fun and I had such good positive feedback. Since then, I've pretty much been doing one once a month, whether it's in my neighborhood or other neighborhoods or in the local gyms, things like that. But yeah, I'm setting them up, whether I have a connection through a friend or a neighborhood, that I'm living in or teaching yoga in or something like that.
You mentioned it right that you're not a nutritionist, you're not a doctor. Do you ever typically work alongside other professionals like nutritionists or physical therapists, occupational therapists, anything like that? What does that look like for you?
No, but I would love to. No. I do I'm volunteering on Thursday morning at the free medical clinic in town. So in that realm, I am definitely working as a care team. We've got doctors and nurses, and I work really closely with a pharmacist and a diabetes educator. And so we sort of tag team and work with the patients with type 2 diabetes or those that have just been recently diagnosed or they have pre-diabetes. So I kind of do the lifestyle aspect and then she does the drug aspect. And then we sort of help each other out if we forget what we want to say. So
Now, is that typically the workshop's typically one day? Is it like a 3-day workshop? What does that typically look like?
my workshops, one day. Yeah, an hour and a half, two at max.
So Martha, you talked about working at I think you said it was the free clinic. You work with it seems like pretty much elderly is what you said before. Do
That's
you
on
work?
my own. On my own, I do. I pretty much work with retirees.
Okay, that's what it retirees. Okay, I was gonna say, does that seem to be a larger demographic that's available, or just what you chosen to target, for lack of better words?
Yeah, it's kind of funny. I feel like they chose me. I do live in a heavily retirement kind of population. Buford, people love coming down here to retire. I The yoga that I teach generally, retirees come to my classes. And I love working. I think have always naturally loved hanging out with older people. So yeah, I love helping them to just live their healthiest so they can enjoy traveling and grandkids. I mean, they have such a strong why for wanting to make changes. So
And it sounds like too that this particular career has a nice balance between virtual work as well as being in person. You know, you have the yoga
Mhm.
stuff that you're doing. If you want to see people in person, I'm sure you can, but also have the
Mhm.
convenience of being able to work over, Zoom or any kind of digital platform as well.
Right. Which I would never even imagine if COVID didn't happen. So I'm only on Zoom because COVID happened. And then I realized how amazing, um, being able to meet with people online is, because I don't have my own office. And being online just provides the privacy, I think, for both of us.
Yeah, that's
So
perfect. That makes sense. Um, I thought about this earlier, and I don't know if this is necessarily the case, but I have to ask. Do you tend to see an influx of people at the start of the new year when everyone has their the resolutions that they create for themselves, or is it not really contingent on that there's no real cycles for what you do?
yeah, it's interesting. And I get that question a lot. And I think of the uptick or the increase actually comes in February because I feel like people want to try themselves in January, and then they end up reaching out in February. But there definitely is a cycle. I mean, I've been a personal trainer as well in my past, and so there is in the wellness field, winter, definitely I want to well, Christmas comes, right? And no one, everyone's really busy, but then the New Year's push. And then summer comes and people are like, forget it, and then we have to fit into our jeans. So we're back at it because summer vacation's over. And so that kind of picks up. So there is definitely a cycle for sure. But
I'd like to give you an opportunity if there's something that you want to talk about, a project you're working on, a cause you believe in, your business, something like that. You're more than welcome. The floor is yours.
oh, thank you. I would just want to really emphasize the power of coaching. And I feel like everyone can use a coach. And if you've got a wellness goal on your heart that you really want to accomplish, that often it is a lot easier to accomplish when you've got someone on your side, on your team, supporting you and cheerleading you on and guiding you. Um, and if this is something that health coaching is something, if you're listening, that is something that you would like to explore. My business is pausewellnesscompany.com. I named it Pause, and I just want to briefly talk about, I love my name and I'm really excited about it. But pause, I just feel like everyone needs to pause. We rush around so much, going from this activity to this activity, overscheduled. We do it to our kids as well. And if we would just slow down and breathe more, I think it just would benefit so many people. But I was also, as you know, a former school teacher, and we like our acronyms. So PAUSE stands for something too. So, and it's what I feel is a formula for a healthy lifestyle, and it's plant-based, which is, P. But you don't have to necessarily eat all plants, but just plants are your main focus. I definitely eat meat myself. So A is active lifestyle. U is understanding. So knowing your numbers, visiting your doctor, knowing your cholesterol and blood pressure and blood sugars and nutrients, if you're deficient in an area. S is sleep and stress management. And then E is elimination. So, are there foods in your diet that are not working that you might need to eliminate? So that's my business.
That's awesome. And I love that acronym. It hits all those key points. Again, kind of like what I alluded to at the beginning is like holistically just
Yeah.
make sure you're evened out everywhere, your mind, spiritual, diet, all that good stuff. So I love that. That is awesome. Martha, thank you so much for joining me today on Time We Discuss as we talk about what it was like to, or what it is like to be a board certified health coach.
Yeah. Thank you so much. I really enjoyed this. Thank you for this opportunity.
Thanks for popping in the studio. My name is Dan, and this is Time We Discuss. I really enjoyed speaking with Martha today, and I hope you enjoyed the time too. Make sure you check the links in the description to learn more. If there's a profession they want me to cover, add a comment and I'll find that person for you. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. That'll do it. See you next time on Time We Discuss.